government.
Yeah, they paid for like everything. We just came and did our stuff and went home. Only thing that we did is the facade.
So which principle is she demonstrating there as far as effective communications? Anybody? Which principles is she demonstrating?
Means, interest, and
Okay. Yes, by understanding those, but specifically, that's always underlined. Which principles?
proactivity.
Proactivity, because they said, hey, there's an opportunity, let's go out and make something work. Okay, and what else?
Building relationships. Building relationships.
Yeah, win-win relationships. The government's saying, hey, we can help with this and this, and the devotees say we can do this and this. Together, synergy, right? 1 + 1 = 3. So very, very important. We sometimes tend to think that we should just work in a vacuum, but it's not going to be as effective. You want to talk a little bit about the South African Rath Yatra? Can you tell me something?
Yeah, well, it's also a festival example, even though on a broader scale. But my spiritual master, Swami, he thought of the idea of helping the country, which is South Africa, through spiritual technology. And he decided, because he worked on organizing Rath Yatra for many years, and he decided to use Rath Yatra as a platform for social cohesion, because in South Africa there is a big racial problem between blacks and whites. And then with this idea he visited different government officials, including the president of the country, Mark Zuma, and they all supported it because it addressed the wider need of the country. And as a result, they organized the Rath Yatra, I think it was 2015 or 2000, yeah, 2015, wherein they brought 250,000 people. I think this was the biggest Rath Yatra on the planet, because it was, so many spiritual groups were invited, so many political leaders were invited, and everyone was speaking about social cohesion through spiritual, contacts. And everyone was so excited. They distributed, I think, 60,000 Prabhupada books in 3 days, and 250,000 people got prasadam, as well as they established massive connections with everybody. And for the next year, the mayor of Durban, he contacted them and he said it was a great festival, and plus they received the place at the beachfront where no religious organizations were ever allowed to conduct any events. But because it was social, they got the prominent place. And the mayor said, you paid for the festival yourself, but for the next year we want you to organize a bigger event, at least for 500,000 people, and we give you the money. And the budget they offered was 1.5 million, equivalent of $1.5 million. And then, of course, Maharaj came back, told Rath Yatra committee about the idea, and that we're getting $1.5 million. But then the committee said, oh, we're not sure, because that Rath Yatra was very different from other Rath Yatras, because our Rath Yatras, like in the question and answer tent, some Hare Krishna devotees sitting and answering questions. But at that Rath Yatra, they had devotee, Christian priest, Muslim imam, Buddhist monk, and some Jewish, rabbi, sitting in one row, and they were all answering how spirituality can help in social cohesion. And the public would ask questions to either of them or all of them. and they have to, like think, how can we work together in front of the public? And so many things were different from what devotees used to at Ratha Yatras, and that's why members of the committee started complaining, no, this Ratha Yatra was something very different from what we used to, so we have to think about it. And while they were thinking, from the mayor's office, they contacted devotees again, and they said, you don't seem to be very interested in our offer, so we're thinking of doing this festival ourselves. We will invite you, we will give you one spot at that festival. So the whole festival was lost, as well as $1.5 million, but the offer was there, so you can see the potential. With bureaucracy can destroy us.
In Ireland, a few years ago, the devotees became involved in the local interfaith organization. And, things are better now, but for many years there's a lot of conflict between religious groups in Ireland, mostly within the Christian community, Protestants and Catholic. So devotees got involved with that, and government got involved, the media got involved, and one of the things that they did was they created a calendar, an interfaith calendar. Thousands, tens of thousands of them they created, and I had a sample, but I didn't remember bringing this trip. They put them in all the police stations, they put them in all the classrooms of all the schools around the country and other public places. And when you look at that calendar, just as you can imagine, it's like the first page, like January, is a picture of the Catholic Church and a little bit about Catholicism. And February was about Islam, and March was about this and that, and there was a whole month about Vaishnavism presented. And then there was a picture on this calendar of the deity Madhava, Radha Madhava, from their temple. And then in the calendar, if you looked up the dates, it was like, whatever date was that year, September 15th, that year was the birth celebration of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. And then Krishna Janmashtami and Gaur Purnima. That went to all the schools, so all the little kids are looking at this picture, who's that, teacher? She's like, well, you got to explain that that's God, according to these folks, right? And then all the police stations, all that. Now, if you imagine if the Hare Krishna community in Ireland decided we'd like to put the picture of the deity all around the country, and they sent a little envelope to all the police stations. Please put this picture of our deity in your police station. Or to the schools, please show this to all the children in the school. What would the result be? They'd spend a lot of money, and they would do what? They'd add to the recycling going on in the country. Because nobody's going to hang that in their school, and nobody's going to hang it in the police station. But because they work in partnership with others, hundreds of thousands of people got to see and learn about the Vaishnava tradition, and who's Krishna, and who's Prabhupada, etc. So many examples of when we work in partnership with other people, and how much more can get done. If you go to Mumbai today, if you visit the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, they're opening a new wing. I think they're adding, I'm just going to guess, 150 new beds or something like that. And you go there, and in the entranceway, there's a nice murti of Srila Prabhupada, and all the employees come together in the morning, and they read some Shastra. They have like a little kind of a spiritual pep talk. And you can go, and there's a room, and there's Jagannath deities there, and then they have smaller deities that go around all the different rooms and visit the patients. And they've got a lot of ISKCON people, and they've got a lot of people that aren't religious, and they've got a lot of Christian people. A lot of the nurses are Christian. And they all work in a partnership, because they understand that we want to take care of people in a balanced way. We want to address their physical needs and also have a spiritual perspective on it. And, they're doing a lot of very cutting-edge research there as well, and people are really appreciating that these people are working in partnership, making such a big difference. So there's lots of examples. You could have 3 days just sitting and talking about all these examples, but we wanted to bring up a couple. Yes?
One more small.
Okay, please.
Small scale example. This is what we try to work now. This wellness club or sauna club is kind of popular in the countries. And one of the branches of Israel is the garage.
We have some competition now, so.
Pankaj Prabhu is giving the class.
Is this?
Pankaj Prabhu is giving the class. Of Chaitanya Committee.
That's too loud.
wellness club in Russian language. And we were thinking, we sometimes we struggle with the place where we can do these clubs, these weekly clubs. And sometimes we have struggled to bring people, new people. So we have new people coming from festivals, from seminars that we bring lectures. And then our idea now is to go to because we saw that many people come to make an aliyah to Israel. They come from other countries to live in Israel. And one of the struggles these people have is to get socialized, to get friends, to get community and stuff like this. So we saw that this club is answering that need of those people. And so our idea is to go to the, I don't know what it's called in English. This is like a government office which is responsible for newcomers to the country, to get them involved in studying the language, to get involved with all the documents and all this stuff. And one of their mission of this government office is to make people socialize with taking some social friends and stuff like that. So our proposal is that we are answering that need, and by giving the opportunity to people to socialize throughout our club. And in this way we'll get the physical places where we can meet. In this way we are getting also new people because they will learn this. So this is our one of our. Now we are leading this dialogue to get this done.
Okay, great. So again, they're being proactive, they're looking according to their particular time and place, what's the situation, what's the opportunity. They're being proactive in addressing it, looking for win-win. You know, the government benefits, we benefit, the society benefits, and also, and I hope you're being very careful about this, exemplary character and behavior. We have to be very, very careful that whatever we do is also very straightforward and honest. Like I can imagine Indra Swami, as we all know, most of us will know, I mean his style. He goes dressed as a dhoti and a tilak and a sannyasi and the whole thing, so it's very obvious who it is. So we also just have to make sure that we're very careful and straightforward about who we are and also what our goals are. Because otherwise sometimes that can backfire. So you have to be just always be a little bit careful about that. And again, remember, we're not talking about, we don't compromise who we are and what our priorities are, but we're looking for ways where there's mutual benefit. So in other words, Maharaj talked about social cohesion. South Africa, big problem. The country's kind of fracturing in many ways. So social cohesion is a big issue. What's the third purpose of this country?
Bring anchors together.
To create, right, systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, correct the imbalance in values, and thus promote what? Peace and unity in the world. So the world also includes South Africa. It includes little places, big places, nations. So that's part of our vision. Now we would bring to the table that by having some spiritual focus on that, you're going to be able to go much deeper in the unity. But the issue is they're just looking for unity. Now, and what's wonderful about this is they're talking about let's bring Jews and Muslims and Catholics and Protestants and Vaishnavas, etc. together, and we can have some shared input and make a difference. So I mean, the scope is unlimited. I mean, it just we have such a beautiful culture, such a deep philosophy, so many practical things to add. I'll just give one other example. We can just maybe pass this around. It's just a little thing. But I'm a member of a lot of different boards of different organizations. Religions for Peace USA, Religion Communicators Council, Religious Freedom Institute. There's one organization, for 70 years, they give awards out to people of the media for covering religion stories. So like Time Magazine, competes with them, and news programs, and, television channels, and book authors, and all that stuff. So every year they give out awards. It's quite a prestigious thing. They have a big dinner, and like CBS News tries to win every year, and USA Today, and all these big publications, New York Times. So I've been on the board on and off for many years. So one year they asked me if I would host the thing. Actually did it twice. So there's these big people, this is on religious news. So these big reporters and stuff on religious topics, and they come to this event, and there's a Hare Krishna guy hosting it, you know, with the dhoti and the tilak, and making jokes about, these days you couldn't do it, times have changed, but I used to, you know, to make a joke about being the only man in the room with a dress on. You can't say that these days, it'd be politically incorrect in some of our countries. But anyway, by doing that, I'm there because there's shared values. I want to promote fair coverage of religion. I want to promote religious values. I want to uplift reporters and publishers and media outlets that are doing that. So it's nothing directly helping ISKCON, my being there, other than we have a shared value, which is let's promote deep spiritual thought, social growth and all that. Because I'm working in partnership with them, I'm there in the front of the stage and everybody's thinking, wow, these Hare Krishna guys, I didn't know they were so respected among their peers. So they go up, we go up. The whole thing, like that. Okay? And to give the other side of the story, if you're going to go, be really informed, because any of you know about American media, one of the people that happened to win an award, it was a show connected with someone named, is it Stephen Colbert? You know that name? Okay. I'd only seen it, I'd never heard it because I don't watch TV. So like faux pas of the century, I said Stephen Colbert. Like, so simultaneously increased the reputation of the Hare Krishnas, simultaneously convinced a few people out there we're really stupid if we don't know how to pronounce that person's name. It's kind of like if someone was to say Mr. Putin. How would you say it wrong? Mr. Putin. Prime Minister Putin in Russia. Or Donald Trump. Or something. You'd be like, well, what part of the world do you live in? So if you do those kind of things, be well informed too. But just one example, there's so many examples. So many examples. Okay, so let's move on. Media work. Okay? Building on what we talked about in public speaking, we're going to spend this section about how to work with the media, which means a lot of things these days. Primarily we're talking about, we're going to analyze it in terms of, say, like the professional, you know, traditional media, but the same principles apply to social media and some of the new media as well. So let's just kind of, we're going to read through a few lists here. Then we're going to break into teams. One of you is going to be a reporter. One of you is going to be a person being interviewed. And we're going to practice our interview techniques. Okay? So that's where we're going with this. So let's start here. And Marge will let you read the first one. And then we'll just go around the room. So it begins with some just general information. What is new? What is newsworthy?
Something new, different or unusual, controversial, local.
News judgment is subjective and varies for different public populations.
Okay, in other words, if you're going to be approaching any kind of media, they have